morning. So my video today is going to be a little bit different because I want to talk about something that happened earlier this week. I said goodbye to a beloved cat, and if you watch my channel, then I'm sure you also have had pets or have pets and you know how difficult it is. On Tuesday, I said goodbye to Pippin, who I'd had for 16 years, since she was 3 or 4 months old, and it's definitely been hard. I moved to Vermont 16 years ago, by myself. I didn't know anyone, and I knew one couple, parents, friends of the family, who, but it was, I went to dinner at their house a couple of times, and, before I made any friends, and it was nice, but about a month after moving here, I adopted a cat. And I decided to adopt a cat, and I went to the Humane Society, and I picked out this cute little calico kitten, but she wasn't spayed yet, so I had to wait to actually bring her home. And then a couple days later, I got a call that she was in one of those communal rooms where a bunch of cats are living together, and one of the other cats in that room was diagnosed with distemper. So then they were put on quarantine. So I decided to go back and see if there was any other cats that piqued my interest. So I walked into one of the rooms, and there were a bunch of cages, and I walked past one of the cages, and I felt something hit me on the thigh, and I looked down, and I saw a white paw go right back into the cage. So I looked into the cage, and all the other kittens in that cage, there were probably 6 or 8 of them, just flew to the back of it, except for one, and that was Pippin. And she just sat there, and she looked at me and said, "I'm ready to go home." And I took her home that day, and since then, she was my rock. It was just the two of us for a long time, and she was always there, when I got my first job, when I bought my first house, when I, had couple of really bad relationships, and then I met my husband, and she was with me when I moved in with him, and she sat with me while I was on bed rest, pregnant with my son, and when I came home, and she was the ultimate lap cat, just always in my lap, always purring, and she never got mad at me. Sometimes cats can get upset with you. She never got mad at me. She was never standoffish. She was always there. As soon as I sat down, she was in my lap, purring, no matter what. No matter how good or bad my day was, or no matter what was happening anywhere else in the world, Pippin was there. And she was with me. And she loved me unconditionally. Never judged me, and just was always there. And last year she lost a little weight. We did some blood work. She was determined to have, early stages of kidney disease, which, is pretty common in cats. And then in the last couple of months, she really was not acting like herself, and especially in the past few days. The last few days, she, 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 she was either sleeping or she was begging for treats. Well, begging's not the right word. She was demanding treats, or demanding that I sit on the couch so she could be on me. And I just knew something wasn't right, and I knew I wasn't going to go down the rabbit hole of doing a whole bunch of testing. And I mean, she was 16. She's 16 years old. There's no reason to do all this stuff. I mean, how much was I gonna prolong her life, and what would the quality of that life have been? So, I knew I was just kind of biding my time. And the vet was coming out. I have a home vet. Shout out to Mountainside Mobile Vet Clinic. They were coming out to give the dog a vaccination anyway, and I talked with them, and they examined her, and they didn't find anything outwardly, outrageously wrong. But even in just the small amount of time they were there, she just wasn't, they examined her, she went and sat on a chair and just laid on the chair with her head kind of hanging over the side. Clearly something wasn't right, and I knew that it was time to say goodbye to her. And fortunately, I was able, I'm thankful that I was able to do it at home, not, in a clinic on a metal table. I wrapped her in her favorite blanket and held her while she went to sleep. And they drew a little bit of blood and confirmed that she was very anemic, and the only reason for that is disease. And I'm comforted that I made the right decision, and that I was able to do it peacefully at home and before she was in a lot of pain. And for the last few days, it's just been getting used to her not being there. And obviously, some times are harder than others, like in the evening, sitting on the couch, and her not being there is tough. The other cats have picked up the slack a little bit and been a little bit more attentive, but it's not easy, going to bed's not easy, because I got used to falling asleep on my back because she was on my lap, and then sometime in the night I'd roll over and she'd be against my chest. I'd wake up to her against my chest, purring, just always purring. And every room I walk into, I expect to see her sleeping. She had her favorite spot in every room, and I expect to see her sleeping every time any room I walk into. And everyone who's ever had a pet and has gone through this knows what it's like. Because they're not just pets, they're family members. And this is definitely the worst part of that promise you make to them, because you know you're going to live longer than them, and you're going to have to do this eventually. But you owe it to them to be there for them, because they've been there for you. And I miss her a great deal. It'll get easier. Time heals all wounds, right?